Good afternoon all. I'm Dr. Yogendra Panduram Sherke, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Microbiology, BKW Valavakar Medical College, Deravan, Savadi. I'm glad to be here in occasion of international conference organized by Sri Vivekananda Senior Medical College, Manthan. And I'm going to present you brief about the current status of COVID-19 disease and its diagnostic aspects. Content of my presentations are current situation of COVID-19, brief about the virological of aspect, then pathogenesis, clinical syndromes, case definition, and contact definition. Important fact which should be known before before sending the sample for lab diagnosis. Important uh, facts regarding the how to collect the sample, how to handle the sample, uh, and brief about the recommended test as well as prevention and management of the COVID-19 disease, that is coronavirus disease 2019. See, uh, first we are going to see the current situation of global and Indian situation. These all numerics or these all stats are derived from different authentic sites like WHO, ICMR, and Ministry of Health and Welfare. These numbers are changing day by day. These are the day before yesterday's report numbers. These numbers get drastically changed. See, this confirmed case count of globe is increased by near about 1 lakh cases, and there is also increase in number of deaths uh, all over the world. And in case of India, see, we are testing near about 1 lakh samples a day, and in on 26th we test near about 92,000 samples, and total test count or total sample tested till dates are mainly 30 to 30 31 lakh 26,119. Among this 30 lakh 31 lakh samples, only 1 lakh 45,000 samples came confirmed positive for COVID-19. And there is a different distribution of that 1 lakh 45,000 cases. Only 80,000 722 cases are active, and 60,000 cases till date get discharged. Maybe the discharge are not totally cured, they discharge due to recent change in a discharge policy. And near about 4,167 deaths occur all over the India. Since this pandemic came in limelight, we are observing this pandemic. In mid of March, only few states like Maharashtra, Kerala, Karnataka, and Uttar Pradesh harboring the major burden of the Indian COVID-19 cases. At that time, only 166 cases are there. From 19th March to reaching the end of the May, that case count increases to 1,31,868. That this figure is of day before yesterday on 25th of the May. And after all desired efforts by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, this count is still rising. And currently, see this graph, currently few states, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Delhi, harbors near about 60 to 80% burden of the total COVID-19 cases all over the India. Mainly in case of Maharashtra, you have to observe this column. Total number of diagnostic labs started in Maharashtra is near about 72, among which 41 labs are government and 31 labs are private. And that's why more testing is going on in Maharashtra, and count of confirmed cases also rising as we are testing more patients compared to the Uttar Pradesh, which is the largest state in India, which has only 27 labs, among which 22 labs are government and 5 labs are private, and their test count is their confirmed test count is 6,532, which indicate that biggest state in India still, after reaching towards the completion of lockdown 4, don't have much testing facilities to cover their population. So this all figures day by day changing. In case of Maharashtra, we look toward the Maharashtra, near about all districts, near about 36 districts are affected due to COVID-19. And among these 36 districts, mainly Mumbai, Pune, Aurangabad, Nashik, then Nagpur. These are the hotspot districts which harbors the major burden of the COVID-19 cases. And 2 days before we reached the 50,000 mark, Maharashtra is reached the 50,000 mark. And currently, as per today's stats, 1,45,380 confirmed cases present all over the India, among which 52,000 cases only present in Maharashtra. As I'm telling you that we are observing this pandemic since mid of March. In mid of March, this is a situation of globe. That situation is now drastically changed. Number of countries affected due to COVID pandemic day by day increasing. Number of confirmed cases also increasing. You all know that on 31st December 2019, first case of COVID-19 detected in Wuhan, China. And after 3 months, WHO declared COVID-19 as a pandemic. And afterwards, since last 2 to 3 months, daily reporting of cases tremendously increased. And this is the last 7 days reported cases all over the globe. Why we have to worry? This slide shows you why we have to worry. Because this slide is derived from the Global Health Security Index, which is already published in 2019. As per that index, India's rank regarding prevention, detection, response to any pandemic is worse, or it is not most prepared. In terms of their literature, they're saying that we are not more prepared to face any pandemic. This is long before COVID-19 came into limelight. And these are the reasons why they are saying that country like India is not well prepared. So this is that chart derived from the Global Health Security Index. We place in the more prepared, not most prepared, even though we have to worried because of our inability to respond any type of pandemic, not only COVID-19. Now we move toward the basics of the viruses, mainly RNA viruses. As COVID-19 is RNA viruses, so little bit we know about the RNA viruses. Near about 180 currently recognized species of RNA viruses present all over the globe. Near about 50 genera, 17 families, yearly 2 new species added to that RNA virus group. And RNA viruses are routinely has ability to transfer from the animals to humans. How that transfer from animals to or jumping from the animals to humans of viruses occur is explained by this figure. Many viruses like rabies, Ebola, dengue, HIV are jumped from the animals to humans. That mechanism is known as a spilling of viruses. And this is a pathogen pyramid which exactly explains how viruses step by step spill over from animals to humans. And when they spill over into humans, in last stage they become a only human pathogen. Another epidemiological fact for viruses we have to concern regarding the spread of the viruses. These are the dots described as by epidemiological point of view: duration of infectivity, opportunity of transmission, transmissibility of viruses, and transmission susceptibility of host. These all 4 factors combinedly decided the R0 or R0, which is known as a basic reproductive number. That is newer concept, older concept, but came in limelight when COVID-19 pandemic is on its verge. That concept, basic reproductive number, is that it describes the average number of people each case will infect if everyone is considered as a susceptible. And when we look in COVID-19 about its basic reproductive number, it falls between 1.5 to 4.5, and see these all diseases where basic reproductive number is so high. Measles, chickenpox, they're known as a super spreader. In case of COVID-19, we are not clear till if it falls as a super spreader or not, but by watching the speed of the spread to different countries and their increasing cases day by day, we considered COVID-19 as a super spreader. Now we are moved towards the basics of the coronaviruses. Mainly coronavirus belong to the family Coronaviridae, order nidovirals, and it has 4 genera. Among that 4 genera, beta virus genera mainly affect the mammals, alpha and beta. And coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 or coronavirus, novel coronavirus is belong to beta virus genera, mainly beta coronavirus genera. And previously, severe acute respiratory syndrome causing coronavirus and middle respiratory syndrome causing coronavirus commonly belong to that genre. And SARS-CoV-2, which is a novel coronavirus 19, is totally different from the SARS-CoV-1 antigenically, basically. Now look at the structure. Why these viruses are known as corona? Because of this typical structure. Mainly these are the coronaviruses are single-stranded RNA viruses with envelope, and that envelope contain different type of proteins, mainly membrane protein, envelope protein, and spike proteins. These different proteins have different role in their virulence, as well as this protein can be used as a part which help us to develop the vaccine against this virus. Due to this typical arrangement, the coronavirus family, the corona means the crown. Due to arrangement of their different proteins over the envelope, it looks like crown. So they name this family as a coronavirus. Corona is a Latin word which means the crown. Now, how that coronavirus affect to human? Mainly coronavirus affect to high risk group, mainly neonates, elderly, and individuals with those who are having underlying diseases are more at risk to getting coronavirus disease. Incidence of low respiratory infection in this population increases. Primarily, coronavirus, novel coronavirus primarily affects the infect the epithelial cell lining of the lung, and the virus capable of entering macrophages, and after entry, evading the innate immune response or immunity of the host, it causes immunocells. It stimulates the immunocyte to secrete the pro-inflammatory cytokinins, and that over secretion of pro-inflammatory cytokinins result into the cytokine storm, and that cytokine storm mainly responsible for the pathogenicity, mainly responsible for the acute respiratory failure caused by COVID-19 disease. Clinically, how it appears when virus enters inside the body, but mainly by 2 ways, mainly by through droplets, and another way is through fomites. When virus enters, it multiplies, it causes the clinical presentation after incubation period. Incubation period is a period between entry of virus to appearance of the first clinical feature, known as the incubation period. And in average incubation period of COVID-19 disease is 6 days, and it ranges from the 2 to 14 days. So these clinical features appear after 2 to 14 days, or averagely after 6 days. Fever, cough, and shortness of breath or dyspnea. These are the major clinical features. These features, when you look after these clinical features, they are commonly present in any flu-like illness. Broadly, they are termed as the flu-like symptoms or flu-like illness. And these are the different viruses which causes similar type of symptoms. So we have to rule out these different etiologies from the coronavirus. After outing these other viruses, we can reach the diagnosis of a novel coronavirus. As per WHO, these are the different signs and symptoms which are similar. WHO also says that fever first appear, then dry cough, and after a week of a dry cough, patient develops the shortness of breath, which is due to pathogenesis or effect of the coronavirus, cytokine related effect, or due to virus that respiratory epithelial lining get disturbed, and which result into the shortness of breath, which required the hospitalization afterwards. As per ICMR classified the coronavirus disease in different syndromes: uncomplicated illness which exactly like a non-specific symptoms like an influenza-like illness. This is the initial state. And second syndrome is a mild pneumonia, patient with pneumonia with no signs of severe pneumonia. Thirdly, severe pneumonia. And lastly, acute respiratory distress syndrome. If this acute respiratory distress syndrome left untreated, it results into sepsis and septic shock, and patient may die. Now we have to see the case definition. To diagnose or to suspect anyone who is having disease, we have to go through this case definition. These are available on all government side. Suspected case, those were having ALI, acute respiratory illness, fever with any respiratory sign, either cough or breathlessness, and those were having history of travel either outside the country or in a country where COVID-19 cases are more, or local transmission of COVID-19 cases are reported. They considered as suspected case. And second one, healthcare worker which are looking after the COVID confirmed cases. If they develop the symptoms within 14 days after exposure, they considered as a suspected case. Then those were having severe respiratory infection, severe acute respiratory infection known as SARI, which also has fever with one of the respiratory signs, cough or breathlessness, and required hospitalization with no other etiology, fully explaining the clinical presentation. They also considered as a suspected case for COVID. And those suspected patients with their COVID-19 test results are inconclusive, they are also came in a suspected case of the COVID-19 definition. And confirmed case means a person with laboratory confirmation of COVID-19 infection irrespective of clinical signs and symptoms. Now, after seeing this all-day case definition regarding morphology of COVID, who is at risk? That is question arises. Everyone who came in contact with a confirmed case of the COVID-19, confirmed symptomatic case of the COVID-19, who came in contact with the confirmed symptomatic case of COVID-19, initially first degree contacts, those were primary contacts, and their contacts also at the risk. How that COVID-19 spread? As I said earlier, COVID-19 basically spread through the droplet, and the droplets are greater than 5 micrometer diameter. They can travel up to the 1 meter distance. Afterward, the droplet gets settled down, and they settle down the surroundings of the confirmed case. So another way of transmission of COVID-19 is through the fomites. Droplets settle down on the near objects or lanings or surrounding objects of the patient. When somebody which is not infected or healthy person touches that fomites and knowingly or unknowingly touches his face or eyes after touching on the infected instrument object without washing hand, if he touches his face, that person can get infection through the contaminated hands. 4 transmission scenarios. These scenarios are more discussed because routinely discussed that we are all in which stage. Now, currently all countries experiencing cluster cases in particular duration of time. We are now in a stage 3, and we are on the verge of stage 4, that is known as a community transmission, where sustained and pervasive local transmission is there. We are not till reached that 4th stage. Definition of contact. We've seen about the contacts. Definition of contacts as per ICMR or Indian guidelines, those were providing direct care without personal protective equipment with the COVID patient, staying in the same close environment with COVID-19 patient, traveling together in a close proximity, that is less than 1 meter with the symptomatic person, later tested positive, for COVID-19. These all came in a definition of contact. Who is high risk contact? Basically, contacts are divided into high risk and low risk. These all persons which are directly in care of COVID-19 patient, mainly healthcare workers, those frequently came in contact with fluids of the patient and like respiratory secretion, secretions, blood, vomit, saliva, and persons who had direct physical contact with the body of the patient, including performing physical examination without PPE. They all are grouped into high risk group, and anyone which in a close proximity of the confirmed case considered without any precaution considered as a high risk. Then passenger, those who are traveling in a close proximity for more than 6 hours are considered as a high risk contact. Now we see the basic morphology, we see the how COVID-19 spread. Now we go, before going toward the lab diagnosis, we have to see number of facts, mainly how to collect the sample, where to send the sample, how many labs are there, which type of safety precaution should be taken while sending the sample, how sample is collected, how sample is handled, then how prevent the infection in healthcare workers, also in general public, and what is there any treatment for the COVID-19. These all facts we have to know. So one by one we are going to see these facts. See, in initial phase of the uh, pandemic of COVID-19, these are the 27 laboratories which are helping all over the country to guide regarding collection of the sample and transportation of the sample. Since COVID-19 initiation of COVID-19 pandemic, ICMR and National Institute of Virology act as an apex laboratory, and below that there are many viral research centers, VDRLs, viral research diagnostic labs. This count is 51 previously, but this count is now increased to 116, 116. These all labs are helping our country to diagnose the COVID-19. And this is the current state of India. So many labs are developed or testing independently to diagnose the COVID-19. As per recent stats, total number of labs which are diagnosing COVID-19 are 612. We start from the few labs, that count is now reached to the 612. So that's why our testing capability is increased to 1 lakh per day in recent few days, since 18th May, I think. And among that total labs, 453 labs are doing test by RT-PCR, and other labs are doing test by cartridge-based method. What is that cartridge-based method? We are going to see afterward. And these are some contact numbers which are required to guide those who are starting lab, those who are sending the sample, or those who are collecting the samples for COVID-19 patients. Biosafety. Those were involved in a collection of sample, those were involved in a processing of the COVID-19 sample, they should use the validated biological safety cabinet. That is known as the primary containment devices for their safety, for preventing themselves from getting infection. As per recommendation, when laboratory diagnostic work is going on, mainly non-propagative type, we should use the BSL level 2 labs. This is a biosafety cabinet. There are many types of biosafety cabinet. This is a biosafety cabinet class 2 A2. We should use biosafety cabinet class 2 B2, which is ducted like this, for doing the RT-PCR. And propagative work, if you have to grow the virus or you have to do the procedure on the culture, viral culture, live virus, then you have to use the biosafety level 3 lab with the negative pressure. While handling the sample or while taking care of ourselves, we frequently use the disinfectant, and these are the recommended disinfectant: hypochlorite, alcohol, mainly 70%, hydrogen peroxide, quaternary ammonium compound, all can use as a disinfectant either in lab or as a disinfectant in prevention of infection to ourselves. So while using this disinfectant, we have to care some points, mainly contact time. We have to look after. If contact time is not given sufficient to any disinfectant, their purpose is not fulfilled. If you don't give contact time to disinfectant, then it is not useful to use the disinfectant. So you have to focus on contact time. You have to focus on concentration, which is required to kill the virus. You have to look after the concentration. You have to also look after the expiry date of working solution, which is prepared from the master or uh, master solution. This is the three bucket technique which commonly used in a cleaning of the floor in COVID-19 positive isolation wards as well as a home isolation conditions. You have to use plain water, detergent solution, and 1% hypochlorite to mop the floor. And that hypochlorite solution should be freshly prepared. If hypochlorite solution is not available, you can use the 5% Lysol. Spraying of the sodium hypochlorite solution. Recently, we see that this spraying on the humans of disinfectant. Now, as per ICMR guideline, it is banned. It is may cause the harm if you use that spraying machines. And when you use any disinfection solution, you should focus on the contact rate. It should be at least 20 to 30 minutes. And these are the other disinfectant which can be used to kill the virus. Then after seeing the rational use of disinfection, which type of samples we need to diagnose the COVID-19 cases? Mainly we need the nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swab, then lower respiratory tract samples like bronchoalveolar lavage, tracheal aspirate, and nasopharyngeal aspirate sputum also recommended. But their collection should be done, because these all are aerosol generating procedure, should be done in by wearing the total protection, total PPE, personal protective equipment. And these all samples are stored at 4 degrees Celsius. If delayed is expected in processing, you have to store that sample at -70. And sample should be collected by diachron of polyester swabs, not by cotton swabs. Case definition. Before going to diagnosis, we have to know about case definition or whom we have to test. Mainly those where this is a earlier definition, all international travelers. In initial phase, this case definition is changing 5 times. The recent case definition is this. This is updated case definition. This case, as per this case, is the case definition. All symptomatic patient with acute respiratory illness. Those who are having international travel history in last 14 days should be tested. All symptomatic patients, contacts of laboratory confirmed case should be tested. All symptomatic healthcare workers, frontline workers which are working in a containment or mitigation of COVID-19 should be tested. All patients with severe acute respiratory illness should be tested. A symptomatic direct and high risk contact of the confirmed case should be tested between day 5 and day 10 of the coming into contact. This point is more important. All symptomatic ALI, influenza-like illness in hotspot and containment zone should be tested for the COVID-19. All the hospitalized patients who develop the influenza-like illness should be looked for the novel coronavirus. All symptomatic influenza-like illness among the returnees or migrant worker within the 7 days of illness. This is a recent point which added after tremendous migration going on from one state to another state, as well as one district to another district. And last important one, nobody is denied the emergency procedure if there is a delay or lack of test. You can send the sample whenever indicated for testing if it fits into these 8 points. But you should, doctors or healthcare setups not have tried to deny the emergency procedure. We look how to collect the sample from home, but collected specimen to maintain their viability, we have to put that specimen into this media. That media is known as a viral transport media, which contain additional antifungal and antibiotic supplements, and it helps to keep the virus for viable till we process that uh, sample. Serum sample. Serum sample also recommended when you are going to perform ELISA or rapid diagnostic test. Serum samples is also useful. But while taking serum sample, you have to take the sample in pairs. In acute phase, first sample is taken and second convalescent sample taken after 2 to 3 weeks later. Why? Because this needed to observe the rise in antibody titer. But serological tests are not performed nowadays as per recommendation. That collected sample, sputum, either nasopharyngeal or oropharyngeal swab in VTM, how to transport that sample. These guidelines are given in a ICMR site, and that sample patient specimen considered as a biological substance category P, and this is their number. And we have to follow the good microbiological practice while handling and processing the specimen. Laboratory workers should wear this protection, personal protective equipment. These all things laboratory workers should wear and handle the sample. And while centrifuging the sample, while processing, you have to centrifuge that sample in a closed centrifuge, cap having centrifuge, which is followed by standard operative procedure, and avoid the breakage or spill. There should be a SOP for the spillage, tackling the spillage if happened. Specimen handling and transport. These are the ICMR guidelines which are freely available on the site of ICMR. How to pack the sample, how to handle the sample. Now, where to send sample? We have to send the sample in initial phase to NIV, Pune. Now, nearest COVID-19 diagnostic lab approved by ICMR. Nearest lab which is near from your district, you have to send the sample there. And when you send the sample NIV, Dr. Yogesh Guru acts as a nodal officer. Now, currently in India, near about 116 VDRL labs are testing the samples. Specimen labeling. Specimen labeling and processing is important. We have to wear the personal protective equipment. All biosecurity precautions should be followed. Parallel labeling, name, age, gender, specimen ID. Name of the patient, address of the patient, phone number is quite important because some patients are flying after their report came positive. Tracing their contacts and tracing them is prime important to avoid the local transmission. This is the mechanism how different things used to pack the specimen, and the specimen is packed in a 3-layer system and transported in a vaccine carrier with the ice packs. This is a way how we are going to pack the specimens. Documentation is prime important, as we see that part earlier. Now, after sending this sample with all precaution in triple layer box with vaccine carrier, which tests were performed on these samples? Mainly, as per government guideline, real-time PCR assays are advised to diagnose the novel coronavirus. Current strategy of India, we perform 2-step strategy by using the quantitative real-time PCR. Initially, screening test was done to detect the E gene, envelope gene. And second test, if that E gene came positive, we have to go through the confirmatory test, which contain 2 types of gene, which detect 2 types of gene, mainly RNA-dependent RNA polymerase and gene ORF1b NSP14 gene. When the sample positive, either of 2 genes in confirmatory test, it considered as a positive. Other tests, mainly nucleic acid amplification test. What we see earlier when we look number of labs, 612 labs all over the India, which are diagnosing COVID-19. Among the 612 labs, near about 158 labs are detecting the COVID-19 on basis of this nucleic acid amplification test. 2 types of machines are working there, TrueNAT, and another one is CBNAT, GeneXpert. Those machines are in a system since long ago. Those were detecting the tuberculosis and resistance in tuberculosis under RNTCP program. Now that machines are used to detect the COVID-19 by using different type of cartridge provided by the companies. Whole genome sequencing. This is another test, but this is test only used for the research purpose. Serology, we can do rapid diagnostic test, we can do the ELISA, but these tests are now not in a scenario or not in a recent protocol of detecting COVID-19. These are different type of tests, starting from the RT-PCR to the nucleic acid amplification test, then lastly to the whole genome sequencing and some serological tests. Before going to these all tests, we have to follow this prevention precautions. Mainly, initial stage, we have to rapid screen the patient as per case definition. Thermal scanning is advised now, that is fewer clinics are doing thermal scanning. Healthcare workers going in a containment zone, they are thermal screening the peoples in a hotspots or containment zone. That thermal scanner only detects the body temperature. When thermal scanner suggest you high degree, it's not indicated that patient having a COVID-19. It is not confirmative. It is only detect the body temperature. After detecting the body temperature, you have to isolate the suspect or quarantine the suspect and send their sample for diagnosis. After that suspect case report comes, you have to trace the contact of that individual and quarantine them also. Other precautions to prevent the COVID-19 spread, mainly known as a standard precaution. Among them, hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, rational use of personal protective equipment are the mainstay. Hand hygiene should be performed in case of healthcare worker before touching any patient, after touching any patient, after touching patient's belonging, after touching any body fluid, or after touching patient surrounding. 5 times healthcare workers should wash their hand. For general public, when they are traveling or they are present in a health setup, or they are moving in a market, they should take care of hand hygiene, and hand hygiene should be done by these different steps. You have to follow these each and every steps to do the proper hand hygiene, and you have to give near about 15 to 30 seconds time to soap or disinfectant which use for hand hygiene. Regarding use of sanitizers, alcohol rubs, they were used or preferred when your hands are not soiled, your hands are visibly clean, then you have to use that alcohol based hand rubs. If your hands are visibly soiled, then you have to basically use the soap and water. Respiratory hygiene mainly include putting the handkerchief while sneezing and coughing, using the tissue, and after use of tissue, disposing the tissue properly. It's come under the respiratory hygiene. Personal protective equipment, mainly mask. This is N95 mask. It is recommended to only those who are having cough, fever, difficulty in breathing, or you are caring COVID-19 patient or suspected patient in household or in a health setup, or you are the healthcare worker attending the patient with respiratory illness, you have to use that N95 mask. Everybody not need to use that N95 mask. Household mask with proper cleaning is sufficient to protect infection from the suspected cases. It is 75% protective from the viruses. Household mask. Prevention is better than cure. This is a mainstay to avoid any infectious disease. Mainly this precaution you have to follow. Never touch your eyes, nose after touching frequently touched surfaces in surrounding marketplaces or in hospital. In case of hospital infection prevention control programs, those hospitals were successfully running infection control programs, they don't have to worry. We are hearing many cases where healthcare workers get hospital associated COVID-19. COVID-19 also become a nosocomial disease when healthcare professional or healthcare system or healthcare setup failed to provide or failed to follow the infection control guidelines. If that infection control guidelines are followed by healthcare worker, hospital-related exposure of COVID-19 not happen. And what is a frequently touched surface? These are the frequently touched surfaces: doorknobs, pens, train straps. This, after touching these all things, you have to wash your hand or you have to sanitize your hand with alcohol-based hand drops. Now we see all the things: how to diagnose COVID-19, how to prevent COVID-19. Uh, in prevention, another important part is immunoprophylaxis, which is commonly used in infectious disease. All the vaccines which are made, they are aimed to expose body to an antigen that won't cause the disease, but that will provoke the immune response and that can block or kill the virus if person become infected. So in case of COVID-19 also, there are many trials going on. These trials are going on different ways. Mainly first trial is going on virus vaccine, in which whole virus is used. That virus is inactivated by chemicals, or that virus is weakened by subsequent subcultures, serial subcultures, that comes under the live attenuated vaccine, and this come under the killed vaccine. Viral vector vaccine, other virus used as a vector to develop the vaccine. Mainly adenovirus and measles virus used to develop the vaccine. Nucleic acid based vaccine, either using DNA or RNA. This part is now more focused. Protein based vaccines, protein subunit like spike protein, M protein can be used to develop vaccine against the COVID-19. Viral like particles also used to develop vaccine against COVID-19. Current scenario regarding COVID-19 candidate vaccine, there are about 76 vaccines, among which 5 vaccines are in clinical evaluation. Among these 5 vaccines which are in clinical evaluation, these are the few vaccines which are in phase 1 and phase 2 trial. I think this Moderna vaccine now in a phase 3 trial, which shows the efficacy. Uh, After testing this vaccine in a few individuals, that individual achieved the desirable amount of antibodies in the blood. So this vaccine is now world's hope, Moderna vaccine, which is mainly based on nucleic acid RNA. Another important vaccine which is mainly discussed by media, Oxford vaccine, which is a viral vector vaccine which use the chimpanzee's adenovirus, modified chimpanzee adenovirus, which deliver the COVID-19 antigen into individual. This is a basic principle of Oxford virus vaccine. This vaccine is live between a phase 1 and phase 2. Simply, chimpanzee adenovirus is modified. Some antigen of the COVID virus is injected in that adenovirus, and that adenovirus is prepared vaccine is injected into the person. And after injecting this vaccine, body of the immunized person develop antibody against the spike proteins. And when that person, immunized person, came in contact with the SARS-CoV-2, they directly attacked the SARS-CoV-2 virus, as there is a previously formed antibody against the spike proteins. India's hope. India also working on vaccine, mainly live attenuated vaccine. Codagenix and Serum Institute of India is working on the live attenuated type of vaccine, and it is in preclinical trial. Also, another company, Gujarat-based company known as Zydus Candila, also working on a replicating viral vector vaccine. It is also in a preclinical trial. Hope these vaccines may come forward in future. Why we are hoping for the best in terms of vaccine production? Because vaccines, recently we developed the vaccine, or world developed the vaccine against the highly pathogenic virus which causes hand, foot, mouth disease. So it is not impossible. Vaccine may came in limelight after few months or few near about 6 to 1 year, months to 1 year. Till that, what we have to do if somebody get COVID-19, that is known as the management protocol. That management protocol mainly, this is an initial management protocol. That protocol discharge policy is now changed. That doing discharge policy, we have to mainly divide the patient into 3 groups: severe, mildly ill, moderate ill, and severely ill. As per the condition of the patient, discharge policy is now vary. There is a no specific treatment. Why I am saying that, you can see afterwards when next slide came. Empirical antibiotic you can give, because many influenza-like illnesses are caused by bacteria also. So empirical antibiotic therapy never harm the patient. May be useful to the patient. Never use the corticosteroid in case of ARDS when there is a COVID pandemic. or you suspect that patient having COVID-19 disease. And you have to monitor the patient closely for the severe acute respiratory illness. This is the management protocol as per current policy. When suspected cases they are mild to moderate, you have to send that patient to the COVID care center. If that patient is positive, you have to shift to the confirmed case section of the COVID care center. Every healthcare facilities in a district are divided into 3 types: COVID care center, dedicated COVID health center, or dedicated COVID health facility. These lists are on the government side. When any suspected case came, they send that cases to these different hospitals, and when this test patient positive, this shift that patient in another half that hospital. One half is non-COVID and another half is COVID, and they manage as per situation of the patient. In case of moderate cases, when SpO2 or oxygen saturation doesn't fall below the 90, then this patient not require the invasive ventilation. So they can manage on oxygen beds, what is media recently discussing. Many oxygen beds are government are planning to set. And those where oxygen saturation fall below the 90, then require the proper ICU care. And that will be done in a dedicated COVID hospital with ICU facility. Do's and don't while managing the COVID-19 with ARDS. In case of mild ARDS, you need to provide only oxygen therapy. In case of moderate to severe ARDS, you have to either mechanically ventilate patient or you have to use high flow nasal oxygen. That is also recommended. In case of treatment, in all cases, regarding treatment, there is an uncertainty. All ongoing trials are going on. Different type of antiretrovirals are used, like protease inhibitors, which are used in HIV care. Antiretroviral drugs, protease inhibitors, mainly lopinavir, ritonavir based regime. These regimes also tried in a COVID-19 patient, but they tried in a patient those were in a severe ARDS, and there these drugs have a high level of side effects also. Protease inhibitor badly affect the liver of the patient. Along with protease inhibitor, chloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine is also used to manage the COVID-19 patient. But their studies are going on. Their efficacy is still not proven. Use of hydroxychloroquine as a prophylaxis. Now ICMR recommend the use of hydroxychloroquine as a prophylaxis in a healthcare worker in a primary contact of the confirmed case, and these guidelines are recently published. As per these guidelines, all the asymptomatic household contacts, laboratory confirmed case should take the hydroxychloroquine 400 mg twice a day on day 1, followed by once in a week for next 3 weeks for the household contacts. And those who are working in a healthcare facility, healthcare worker, they have to took 400 mg twice a day on day 1 and followed by 400 mg once weekly for 7 weeks near about. Those who are working in a COVID care or non-COVID care group of hospital, they all should take this tablet. And also the paramilitary forces and police persons, those who are working in a containment or hotspot zone should take this tablet as per our ICMR guidelines. But WHO denies to take the hydroxychloroquine as either for prophylaxis or for treatment. WHO says that we need much and more trials or authenticity of hydroxychloroquine to use in large scale for the treatment or for the prophylaxis. As per their saying, they worried about the side effects of the hydroxychloroquine, and they said that it can cause the death. Where it can cause death, mainly hydroxychloroquine affect the some individuals which are having cardiomyopathy, previous cardiomyopathy, those who are having retinopathy, those who are allergic to hydroxychloroquine, they can show the adverse drug reaction against the hydroxychloroquine. In that individual, hydroxychloroquine is a contraindicated. So what we have to do? Finally, no need to panic. COVID transmission can be prevented by the simple way of prevention, either following hand hygiene or following the social distancing or physical distancing. The term recently changed, social to physical distancing. Uh, Individual immunity also play an important role. Number of cases occurred in Maharashtra more, but number of discharges comparatively also more, and number of asymptomatic patients also more. Near about 80% cases of the COVID-19 are asymptomatic. Only 20% cases develop these different type of symptoms. And among the 20%, only 2% cases required the ICU care. This is the current scenario. So individual immunity also play important role. And preparedness of public health system, that is concern, today's concern or always concern. Because the disease is now restricted, not restricted to metro cities, it is coming to the rural areas. And in case of rural areas, you all know that what is state of our public health system and preparedness of our public health system. That is only concern. When disease is confined to metro cities, metro city can tackle. But when diseases come to the rural area, our public health department should tackle that. And that is seem to be impossible if disease is increased, uh, how it is increasing in the metro cities. That is another important concern. And this migrations from Mumbai to different parts of Maharashtra is another worrying fact. So simple message, you have to break this chain of infection by simply following the physical distancing, which is government advising since 3 lockdowns. This is the 4th lockdown, and you have to, if you follow this simple principle, you can manage or you can prevent yourself from the getting COVID-19. Thanks a lot, Dr. Rajendra Kakade and organizing committee of this international conference, international e-conference organized by Sri Vivekananda uh, Senior Medical College Malta, and also special thanks to the VC Sri Kunal Dada Akkat and General Secretary Sri Sanju Bhau Akkat or Sanjay Bhai Akkat to giving me opportunity to speak about the COVID-19 on this platform. Thanks a lot.